From acclaimed author Bertie Bloom, Riding Hyacinth takes us on a journey exploring the boundaries of love, lust, and the banking crisis.
She gripped the four posts of the bed with both hands and both feet. She never failed to impress me with her passion for spreadsheets.
Riding Hyacinth will leave you shook.
Prick me out, Kenneth. Now. Her nipples like thick biro caps.
Riding Hyacinth by Bertie Bloom. Get your copy today.
Okay, I'm hitting record now.
Let me ask you guys a question. What happens if there's an overlap? When you're picking your favorite, should I have a backup in my head or
if mine is your pick, tell me and I'll just redo it and do a different one. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Well, should I tell you what it is then? Is it?
No.
Okay.
Wait.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
What did you say?
You are a sad, strange little man.
Don't call me stupid.
Hello and welcome to The Best Bits, a movie podcast where each week we pick our favourite scenes from randomly selected, weirdly specific themes. This is your co-host Kevin, a writer who doesn't like, relate or understand children on a basic conceptual level, who fears them and everything they stand for, who recognises that children are our future, but let's be real, the future is bleak, we all know it, and do I blame children for that? No, I do not, but I don't expect them to save us either, I really don't. And I'm joined, once again, by my co-host and writer of 3 films plus a Christmas special, who also happens to be a father of 2. Well,
oh, Kevin Lehan. So, you've tucked Huey, Dewey, and Louie into bed with that little fairy tale, have you? And they sound asleep.
They are in their grave.
Oh God! Oh Lord Jesus Christ!
I just found out recently that Huey, Louie, and Dewey are actually the names of the robots from Silent Running. I thought they were the little cartoon ducks.
They're both, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But, Will, we're not alone this week.
We're not.
Again, we have a guest.
What?
The guest this week is a man who has made a number of films, all of them starring children or having children in a significant role, who also has done episodes of TV that have had children in major roles. And I thought, when I was thinking about guests we could have on for this episode, I thought we should bring on someone who actually likes children, unlike myself, who could help us get through the podcast. And so this week we're joined by Ciarán Foy, Ireland's own Ciarán Foy. How are you, Ciarán?
I'm very well, thank you, Kevin. How are you and your kids?
They're sleeping soundly, 6 feet under. You guys have not met each other, have you?
This is our first time.
It's we were talking a little bit before everything got kicked off about kids.
Great movie.
We're swapping techniques, really, and and I think we found a commonality.
Bit of brandy on the gums, isn't it?
That's what it is. Yeah, that was tradition. That's what my grandmother used to give me a 20-pack of cigarettes and told me to go to bed and knock myself out.
My
Good
God.
stuff.
Well, Ciarán has directed. He did a film just recently. The last one you did was called Eli. It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got Kelly Riley in it and Lily Taylor.
Shall we begin? What do you think is making you sick?
Lots of things. The air, water, dust.
Eli's gonna get worse before he gets better.
There's something in my room.
Bad dreams are a side effect. It's perfectly normal.
I don't mean to freak you out, but this place gives me the creeps. I think she's making me sicker.
It's the medication.
I know it's not the medication. Why do I feel worse?
Because it's working.
I think something bad is happening. We all need to leave. Is his life in danger? Why are you doing this?
You are sicker than you realize.
Get away from me! I'm not sick! Let me out! Let me out! You're gonna get better. Promise?
How would you sum it up? I suppose it's a kid with a secret and everything gets revealed.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like it's okay to spoil it because it's
Spoiler alert.
He turns out to have a certain demonic tendencies.
Jesus Christ.
Based on real life, then?
based on experience with my own children, and that's on Netflix. The movie I made before that, I think, is on Netflix as well. Sinister 2. That was mostly kids in that movie, and then my first movie, Citadel, didn't have a kid lead, but
kid villains though.
Kid villains, and the character of Danny, I suppose, was a significant character. So yeah, kind of. That's what happens. I think you make your first movie, and then people like to pigeonhole you into like, oh, he's the creepy kid guy. Let's get him to make another creepy kid movie. And yeah, after I made Sinister 2, I remember saying to myself, I don't want to do another movie with creepy kids in it. Let's find something else.
So you decided to do 2 movies.
So I decided to wait a year and do 2 movies with creepy kids. Yeah.
And you just did a couple of episodes on The Haunting of Bly Manor, which also has a couple of creepy kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a theme here, Ciarán.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe we should just stick with it, roll with it.
They say never work with children or animals, and you've done both, really.
Yeah.
And Ciarán, do you find, from your experiences, I've had Kid Protagonists and all 3 of my produced features. But what I've always been surprised by, and I wonder if it's a similar thing to you, is like how amazingly good the kid actors are. I have found all the kid actors I've worked with to be incredibly talented and amazingly they're able to deliver their lines like at the drop of a hat. And did you have a similar experience?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if you cast right, that's certainly true. I think there's many who you don't cast who there's a very good reason why you didn't cast them. But I think I've found that when you cast right and you have a really smart kid and you can talk to that kid, because I think there's a lot of having observed peers of mine directing with kids on set. Sometimes I'll see a kid who I know is capable of a great performance deliver something that's not so great, and a lot of the time it's how they're being spoken to, Okay. And I think it's like when you speak to a kid like a kid, I used to even remember this when I was a child, that have certain aunts and uncles that some of them would speak to me like I was 2 when I was 8 or something, they're like, do you like school? Do you like, whatever? And you knew instinctively that like, come on,
that must have been 8. Very annoying for you. Was that really annoying?
But exactly, yeah. That way of speaking, do you like sweets? Whatever the fuck, but like
what do you want to be when you grow up?
But it was the adults that treated you like a intelligent person that you had the most kind of respect for, and you ended up speaking back to them, even though you're 8, you're 9, you're 10, you have a limited sort of vocabulary. So they treated you as someone worthy of respect, and I find
that was Father Daly in our school. He treated all the boys like adults.
I'm just going to take that. I'm going to take that on the surface level of what you mean, and not going to.
I just made him up.
Oh, good, thank God.
No, I was just saying that it's the performance, and I guess in conjunction with how you're communicating with them. But the best are incredible, and what I find as well is that when you might give someone maybe, let's say you give someone 6 marks within a scene, like 6 points they need to hit around the set. You're going to sit down on that line, you're going to move over here on that line.
Can I interrupt and ask a stupid question? Is that like, do you not have to tailor it for a child, the workload? Because when you're saying 6 marks, even if I was on a set and I was given 6 marks, I'd be thinking, oh my God, that's a lot to keep in my head.
Yeah, and I find like adults are like that. But the crazy thing about a kid is they hear it once, they just nod, and every time, like clockwork.
Yeah.
They'll hit each mark, and it doesn't look like they're looking for the mark. And but no, I think I've found them to be, the best of them to be as professional as any adult performer.
Yeah, because when I was like looking up because when we got this topic last week, well, I thought this is going to be a piss easy one. This is going to be straight ahead. I know what my pick is, and there's a few here and there. But then when I looked into it, oh my God, now I think the best actors working are child actors.
Oh yeah, they're so good. I've just, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen 3 features, all with Kid Protagonists, and they all could have made my list of, like, Jesus, that's incredible. There's a plethora of amazing child performances in films.
But if you were to say to somebody, child actors, I think one of the first things that's going to come to people's minds are how dodgy it is and how sort of doomed a lot of them are. But I was like making a list of child actors who've gone on to great success as adults and child actors who fell by the wayside. But there were actually far more major A-list movie stars who used to be child actors than child actors who have, had a sort of a sorrowful end.
Wow.
Which surprised me. And I can tell you a few of them. So in the sort of the camp of like tragic child actors, you've got like River Phoenix and Brad Renfro and Brittany Murphy and Corey Haim and people like that. But when it comes to A-listers, you've got Christian Bale, Scarlett Johansson, Elizabeth Taylor, Anna Paquin, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ryan Gosling, Mila Kunis, Kristen Stewart, Christina Ricci, Kirsten Dunst, Drew Barrymore, Elijah Wood, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Natalie Portman, Keira Knightley. It just goes on and on and on. And those are like people that hit their peak as adults, but were also major child stars at the time. So maybe it is that thing of, if you're talented as a kid, you're more likely to be an even greater actor as an adult.
Jake Gyllenhaal popped into my head when you were, I don't know, he might have been in that list.
Yeah, and Heath Ledger was actually a child actor. And he was only 28 when he died.
Wow.
So he was 23 when he did Brokeback Mountain. No, I don't know if it's because of my age, but I always thought he was much older than that.
So you saying, did he get his break on Home and Away? Was that where Heath Ledger got his break? I
thought he was in Young Hercules or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, very good.
That was Ryan Gosling, not Heath Ledger.
Oh, wow.
Just saying.
I didn't even know it existed.
But yeah, I just thought, well, so many child actors have turned into great movie actors.
Yeah, I think you need a good support. If you've got a good set of parents or guardians guiding you through that industry, then you should be safe and you should be protected. But by God,
that's a question for you, Ciarán. Do you have those sort of helicopter parents that are like stage moms, or the chaperone that's always there, that you can sort of get a sense that there are red flags, we'll say?
Yeah.
Even if it's just kids coming into audition.
Yeah, definitely in auditions. I mean, that's why I always think when you're casting kids, you almost need to cast their parents as well. Like you kind of. You need to meet the parent. I often find that, some of the best kid performances have that kind of, I don't know how to describe, like a kind of like Goldilocks zone of a kid that acts and, sounds like a kid of that age, but at the same time they're able to emote and they're able to, take direction and stuff like that. Versus, that kind of, what we'd call back home, like that kind of Billy Barry kind of over the top, theatrical kind of, and I find that
stage school kid.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of that's very evident early on, and a lot of the times those kids come with the kind of parent that decided they were going to be an actor before conception. Do you know what I mean? And it's very easy to whenever I get, I'm always wary when you get handed somebody who has like an 8-year-old that has a headshot, you know what I mean, and it's like professionally photographed, and like it already starts to raise kind of like, okay, who decided this kid was going to be an actor? Like who was this decided when they were still in nappies, and so a lot of the time the your instinct will match, like you'll meet the parents and you're like, okay, but most of the time I find the kids that have that kind of that Goldilocks sort of like the mix of sort of innocence but at the same time able to perform, a lot of the time their parents are very ordinary and supportive, and you know, and in my experience so far, anyway. But yeah,
it's not a job; it's probably more play for the kid.
And I think that's maybe an attitude you need for this industry to kind of keep your sanity in this industry. That it's like, it's not the end of the world, you know. It's just the thing, you know, that you're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Rather
well,
than
here's a question for you two: would you let your kids act or perform in the film business, knowing what you know, like you're in it, you've seen it, you know what the personalities are like and what the working hours are like? Would you let them?
I wouldn't have. I don't think I could. If my kid wanted to act, I wouldn't say you're not doing something that they want to do, that they find a creative expression in, or whatever the thing. I think I'd actually probably feel I'm more armed to warn, to guide somewhat within the industry than maybe somebody without from who's not involved in the industry. But I wouldn't
typical
say
nepotism.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say no. I my experience of it is not something where I'm like, oh God, I wouldn't let my own son do this. This is like, this destroys someone's character or sense of being. I mean, notoriety is its own epiphany. Like you can have that where kids, many kid actors, certainly, you know, I'm not going to name names, but like people who grew up to be great adult performers who I've spoken to did suffer a lot of bullying in school because of that notoriety. You know what I mean? So that seems to be a big one.
Yeah, for me, look, yeah, I had a similar answer to Ciarán there. If they want to do it, then I'm not going to stop them. But also, you'd have to just, you know, at least give them the preparation for what to expect, and not raise their hopes too much, and keep them grounded. That's the key thing: keeping them grounded and protected. I think that's the main thing, because it's a tough. You don't need to ask us. It's a tough industry.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Before we get into the actual topic and sort of like talk about what our favourite scenes are from kid actors, I was going to ask him, what sort of favourite moments do you have directing a kid in one of your projects? And I'll tell you why I ask, because I was looking up how Spielberg, you know, he gets great performances out of his kids.
Yeah.
And in Close Encounters, I was just skimming this earlier, in order to get the little toddler kid to react, they oh God, I'm not going to be able to get through my own. They tranquilized the gorilla and they brought it in and they shot it with adrenaline, and so the kid is reacting to the gorilla just going mental behind the camera and attacking the AD and everything. And I thought, that's amazing, because that really gives him such a realistic, you know, reaction. And I might have some details wrong there, but you know, it's something like that. But do you have any sort of tips or tricks or great?
Yeah. No, but I think that, I mean, I'm sure you know the real story. What was happening there was like the kid's best friend on set, I think it was a sound recordist or whatever, was like dressed as a gorilla, and it scared the kid. Like the kid kind of reacts when he runs it. The little kid playing Barry reacts in a kind of like shocked fashion. But then the gorilla takes its like head off, and it's his best friend. And when he sees that, you know, he kind of has that. You see that little gear change in him.
That's the same thing I said.
But I think it's like, but those kind of things are like, you know, when you're working with a kid who's, I mean, that kid who played Barry was 3, I think, at the time. But even Richard Donner, when he was working with the on The Omen, the kid that played Damien, like you have to. Like that famous smile that he does at the like you heard how he got that, right?
I didn't. You have to tell me, how did he get that?
He was just like, you know, the camera was on him, and he was just like, don't you smile, don't you dare smile.
Oh no way!
Yeah, sort of.
Joe, and I read the other day. This is a real one though. I read about Richard Donner, because he obviously did the Goonies, and the kid that played Chunk in that, his career didn't pan out, and he didn't continue to act. and he asked Richard Donner, would he write him a reference letter because he wanted to go to college, and Richard Donner said, yeah, so tell me what you want me to say in the reference letter and I'll write that for you, don't worry about it. And he wrote all about his backstory and his upbringing and what have you. And Richard Donner called him up and said, I spoke to my wife and we've actually decided we want to pay for you to go to college. And
wow.
I thought that was a beautiful little story of sort of
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
little behind
Richard
the
Donner.
scenes stuff. Yeah, definitely.
A real mensch, if I'm using that term correctly, but a really good guy.
100%.
Yeah, so do you have any sort of like favourite moments from when you were directing kids?
I think, a moment I think that sticks in my head is on Eli working with Charlie Shotwell, who plays the title character. And there's a scene in it where I think, the thing that kids are great at, and I can't remember where I read this, whether it was Spielberg or Shyamalan who said this, that kids are great. They're great mimics, right? And it's like when you've got, if you give an adult, a line reading, they'll walk off set, and rightly so, right? But with a kid, like, they're 8, 9 years old, they if you say to them, remember the time you had your heart broken, like they're like, I'm 8. I don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
But when they can see, and this is why, you tend to, if you can act a little bit, even badly, like me, if they can see what you're going for, even in a very rudimentary kind of way, they're great at not just mimicking it, but seeing what it is that you're after. Go, okay, I see what you're doing. And this kind of game starts to sort of better what you just did, and so they're amazing at that kind of stuff. But normally that tends to be in playing one emotion in a given scene.
Oh, right.
And that's the thing. You'll find when you're working with kids is that they prepare. Sometimes they over prepare. But they prepare with a parent or a tutor or whatever, right? And they come to set, and it's like, this is the scene in which I am sad, or this is the scene in which I'm excited, or this is the scene in which I'm whatever. And, they use whatever kind of, whether it's memories of something or whatever. Like, so they come kind of almost in that emotion that you're going to be shooting that day. But what's really hard to do, and it's hard, this is hard for adults, but they've got, certain techniques in which to do this, but the hard thing for a kid is to do emotional gear changes in a scene, right?
So that's how that Spielberg thing really played into that, because it was
exactly, yeah.
He was playing all the different notes with the kid.
Yeah, 100%. But obviously that's if you're working with a 10-year-old, that's dressing up as a gorilla is not only going to go so far. But there was there's a scene in Eli where Charlie kind of wakes up in this sort of, subterranean sort of layer where these, you find out that they're actually nuns in the stories and not doctors. But this is spoiling the movie, but if you haven't seen it and you want to see it,
spoiler alert.
Fast forward.
Yeah. Definitely check it out, because the scene that I think you're talking about is fantastic.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think, that's all. The scene works because of Charlie, because like on the page, it was like these 3 gear changes where he wakes up in this place. He realizes that I'm not, I thought I was going to die because he's been told he has this condition and he can't breathe air with dust and stuff like that. He realizes that, I'm alive, and there's elation with that. And then there's a gear change to realize that I've been lied to. And his parents have lied to him his whole life. And so there's a gear change to that sort of sense of betrayal. And then that morphs into like just sheer anger. And why did you leave me to die and let me out? So there's 3 kind of like gear changes there that are either one of those emotions, are
And you're not cutting for it either. He's playing it in the moment.
Plays it all in one shot, yeah. At the gate, he kind of goes up to this gate and he sort of delivers the brunt of the scene there. But I remember like kind of thinking on this one, I'm going to have to find some what I'd call in terms of like editing footage, like a bunch of bananas to cut to, like that cutaway that you can just get you out of trouble. I was like, well, let's just
the Mickey Mouse shot and like in the transformation in American Werewolf from London,
right,
where suddenly it just cuts to a Mickey Mouse figurine on a coffee table,
right,
just so that they can cut between him being mid transformation.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking, what's my equivalent of, like, okay, the flicking light or something. But I remember thinking, this will not play in one. There's too many gear changes. But yeah, he nailed it. And that was definitely one of my favourite moments, because I thought he was incredible in the scene,
It's like I was saying to Will on a podcast just recently that when I went horseback riding, you're used to seeing people riding horses all the time in films. But then when you're on the back of a horse and a horse starts to canter and starts to gallop, it's fucking terrifying, at least it was for me. So when I watch people now in horseback scenes, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how are they doing that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be in your head, knowing what it's like on set, directing kids, that when a kid gives a stellar performance, it is like a magic trick, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a similar experience. Well, actually, you're talking about mimicry there, and it reminded me of a scene in Wolfwalkers where there's the little girl, Robin, her dad's played by Sean Bean. And there's a scene where she has to come back to her kind of like her building and pretend, like, mimic that she's, role play the conversation she's going to have with her dad about the her plan to save the people in the forest. But how we actually did that she started role playing her dad's voice and stuff like that. But how we actually did that is we had Sean Bean across from her. He would read the lines and she would do her best attempt at impersonating him, and he would like, all right, my dear, and she would go, all right, mate. And it was actually gas in the moment, but she was nailing it every time. Like, she was just like literal mimicry in that instance.
That's funny.
So I asked on Twitter, and what I was going to do, because a lot of the films that we love, they've come up in the past, and great kid performances have been a part of those. So I was going to swerve past them, because I got bombarded with a load of answers, and just mention the ones to both of you guys that we've not talked about on the podcast so far, but people think they've got amazing performances, central performances from a kid. And the ones that came up, I'll tell you, first of all, I was really surprised that some of the major child stars didn't get mentioned. The people like the Harry Potter kids.
Harry, let's face it, which are the cunt.
Or Macaulay Culkin, or the Goonies, or Shirley Temple, even though I don't think we've got people in their 80s listening to the podcast. But the ones that I've got here a list of, people mentioned Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people. This shit is awesome.
Yeah, he was a gifted child actor because he nailed it again in AI.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld in True Grit.
Yeah.
Let the Right One In. The two kids from that.
The original.
The original. Yeah. I'm not going to say their names, but they sound like this.
Kåre Hedebrand, Lina Leandersson.
Connor Chapman and Cleo Barnard's The Selfish Giant. Hugh O'Connor in My Left Foot.
Hugh O'Connor in Lamb. I want to give a shout out to Hugh O'Connor in Lamb, his first appearance. And it's an Irish film seen by very, very few people, also starring Liam Neeson, I'm pretty sure.
Lamb is available to watch on YouTube for anyone interested. The picture quality isn't great, but I thought I'd mention.
I'm the only, myself and Hugh O'Connor, I'm an advocate for Lamb, and he was only 5. I think he was, he'll know, he was very young in that, and it was a powerful performance.
That'll be an express trip back to the home for you in prison for me. God! I thought you had more sense.
Big fucker. Big fucker.
The kids from City of God.
Oh.
I thought that they were non-actors, but I suppose that doesn't really matter, does it? If they're giving a great performance, they're giving a great performance.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment in that film where one of the kids got shot in the foot, and just the terror in their faces. I just thought, this doesn't feel like it's make-believe for these kids. This feels like it's really traumatizing them.
Yeah.
Jacob Tremblay in The Room. That film fucking leveled me. I saw that in LA at sort of a pre-award show screening, and Lenny Abramson, who directed it, was in attendance, and the film just it hit me, and I was so sort of like moved by it that I couldn't go up and say to Lenny that I loved the film because I was afraid I was going to start crying if I tried to tell him how much I loved it. So I actually left and I sent him a message afterwards saying that I thought it was beautiful. But yeah, Jacob Tremblay, when he's escaping from the room, it's powerful stuff.
I love that film.
Truck. Wiggle out. Jump. Run. Somebody.
And he's also brilliant in a comedy that came out, I think it was last year, called Good Boys.
Oh, is that the one with the kind of like the Seth Rogen one, the Judd Apatow type?
But they're like 8, 9, 10-year-olds. It's hilarious.
I haven't seen that. It's good.
Yeah, you should watch it. You'll get a crack out of it.
Hey kids, as you know, I am one of the producers on your movie Good Boys, and unfortunately I'm here with bad news. You guys cannot watch the trailer for your own movie.
What? Are you serious? Are you kidding?
It's just too messed up for kids your age. There's drugs, there's violence, there's swearing, and although we've decided it's okay for you to do these things in the movie, you can't watch yourselves do them in the trailer.
That's fucked up.
Oh, it is fucked up.
Yeah.
You can say that, but you can't watch yourself say that.
Okay, I gotta watch that. Okay, very good.
And The Florida Project, Brooklyn Prince.
Which I haven't seen.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'll have to watch that.
Have you seen it, Ciarán?
I have not.
I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix, I'm pretty sure.
It's a film about a little girl that's living in a motel and her mother has got addiction issues. And she finds a best friend and then she has to leave. And the scene, I think, that breaks everybody's heart is when the girl's about 6, when she knocks at the door of her friend and she says, "Don't leave."
You let her just run away? Haley, will you please just stay? And I'm the one who's unfit? Fuck you!
Chancey! Hi, Minnie.
Here you go, honey. Jancy, come, honey. It's time to eat.
We're just about to have lunch. Are you hungry?
Mooney, you want a bowl, honey?
Mooney, what's wrong?
Lucy, por favor, look at this. Me está por...
Please. You're scaring me, Mooney. You're my best friend, and this may be the only time I'm going to see you again. What's going on?
Okay, just wait right here, okay? Don't move.
I can't say it.
And then there is a coda which I don't particularly love. I wish they left it at that moment where she's at the door.
Okay.
But the coda, they sort of go
Spoiler alert.
on a sort of a fun day out through Disneyland in Florida.
Oh, yeah. As I get the conceit, it's still like in one of those, like, you know, motels that's right across from Disneyland, but
yeah, that's
not,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it ends with a sort of a GoPro sort of sequence where they're running around and there's this sort of sounded like Disney music that's playing, and I just didn't like that because the whole aesthetic changed, and I just thought, no, this is it was a happy ending that I didn't think it fit. But it's a beautiful film. And Isabella Fuhrman in Orphan. Remember that horror film?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what age was she? She confused me. I was genuinely... Yeah, I was really confused by that one.
I made a note to mention that because I thought that she was actually a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old woman that was playing a child.
Yeah.
But no, she was actually a 13-year-old playing a 33-year-old pretending to be a 10-year-old.
Whoa. Wow.
That is a great performance.
That was I was tricked to this day until you said that right there. I thought she was an older lady. My goodness.
Jesus Christ! My God, stop! Just stop talking and go upstairs. Go to your room.
Stop talking to me like I'm a child.
I'm calling Sister Judith tomorrow. We're gonna have a conversation about your future in this house. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
Fine.
Those are the ones that people on Twitter mentioned. But Will, where was your head at, and what is your favourite scene or favourite movie to begin with?
My head was all over the shop, and you kind of mentioned a couple of the places I was going to go. Ultimately, I ended up with an actor that you've mentioned in the list there, and it was Haley Joel in The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
Although technically, I don't know if he's the protagonist of that film. He's certainly protagonist of his own story, I suppose. But I think the character is so It's so beautifully crafted, but his performance is so mature and so measured. And the scene that I love from that film is the scene near the end when he's stuck in traffic with his mother. And it's the moment where she realizes that in actual fact her son, she hasn't believed him up to this point, but she realizes that, you know, her son does actually see ghosts. And it's absolutely devastating because
it's Toni Collette's performance as well. Back to him,
it's Toni Collette. Yeah, it's the two of them. It's not a fancy. It doesn't have fancy camera angles. It's just a simple 2-shot. And she at the ending of that scene where she
turns her into a child.
Yeah, because not only does she believe in him, but she immediately goes to she asks about her own mother, and Haley Joel Osment delivers a message from her mother to her, and it still gives. I just watched it today, and it gives me tingles. And as much as, you know, I suppose M. Night Shyamalan has had a kind of an up and down career, he certainly, when he was on fire, he was absolutely fantastic, and I think that's a pretty great film. So that's my pick for this particular topic. So yeah, what do you think of that?
Love it.
Grandma says hi. She says she's sorry for taking the bumblebee pendant. She just likes it a lot.
What?
Grandma comes to visit me sometimes.
Well, that's very wrong. Grandma's gone, you know that.
I know. She wanted me to tell you.
Oh, please
she
stop.
wanted me to tell you she saw you dance. She said, when you were little, you and her had a fight right before your dance recital. You thought she didn't come to see you dance. She did. She hid in the back so you wouldn't see. She said you were like an angel. She said you came to the place where they buried her. Asked her a question. She said the answer is every day. What did you ask?
Do I make her proud?
Yeah, and it's such an earnest film as well. It's amazing to think about that they were on set and they were saying to M. Night, are you sure you want this scene where he's saying to Bruce Willis, I see dead people? And he's like, you're telling everybody that Bruce Willis...
Spoiler alert.
...is a ghost. And that never registered with me. I was like aware that there was a twist in the film. It had not been spoiled for me. And I was watching it thinking, what is this twist? What the fuck could it be? And then when it came at the end, it was like, wow, did he trick me? But it didn't feel like a con job.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was a beautiful sort of like reveal, like when somebody is like doing origami and you think, what the fuck are they doing? And then they reveal what it is. It's like, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Ciarán?
Oh, it's one of my favourite movies, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
More importantly, Ciarán, have I stolen your pick?
You haven't. I mean, he was either number 2 or number 3. It was 3. I couldn't decide between, but that's not who I went with now.
I'm relieved.
Well, then I suppose we should find out what your pick is.
My pick is... I couldn't decide between Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense, Linda Blair in The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck me! Fuck me!
And who I'm going to go with being Henry Thomas in E.T.
Hey, I'm so glad you said that.
I think it was kind of conspicuous because we were not mentioning it throughout the whole episode.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and you've worked with Henry Thomas.
Yeah, I worked with him on The Haunting of Bly Manor. Lovely guy.
Tell us everything. What did he say?
He likes to visit Howth in Dublin, so that's something. But
well, you know, nobody's perfect.
Can I ask you, did he say what E.T. really was like? Like, was he a dickhead on set?
It was one of those things we actually didn't talk about. We ended up like talking about more about like just life, and because you kind of assume, like, you know, at certain, like, he must just get asked.
Yeah.
about this constantly, and we
Yeah.
didn't talk much about it. I told him the story about my friend and his brother who went to Universal Studios, and the younger brother ended up kind of breaking the ET ride, and he was in stitches of laughter at that.
How did he do that?
He had,
I'm curious.
Don't tell me he had something to do with diarrhea.
But basically, when you were going into the ride, now this would have been like, I was 15 when this happened. So my friend Cahill and his younger brother was like 5 or 6 years younger than him and stuff like that. So he was like 8 or 9, his younger brother. But when you entered the ride, you gave the kind of attendant, you gave them your name, and they typed it out, and they gave you kind of this badge that was like almost like an early form of like that kind of Siri voice that would read it and then would say,
like Podbot.
like exactly like Podbot.
What's that now? I was busy watching your levels.
Podbot.
As they were entering the ride, so my friend's name is Cahill, which is Cathal, right? And so you get on the bike like in ET, and it's like, kind of a screen that feels like you're flying and stuff. But as you're leaving the ride, there was this incredible animatronic of ET, and it was, it was quite kind of like, and it moved, and it said, as you left, I guess it read your name tag or whatever, right? And as you left, he would say "Bye bye, John." My friend Cahill goes through, like he goes through, and ET says "Bye bye, Catal," right? Which is close enough, right? But his younger brother's name was Rory, but it was spelt the Irish way, so it was RUAIDHIDH. But it was just, it's like, it was like the full on thing, right?
Yeah.
And he goes through, and he's all excited because he's like 8 and stuff, and E.T. goes, "Bye bye." It paused, and it started shuddering.
E.T.'s having a fit.
Rory's face was melting at this point, and then 2 technicians rushed in and unscrewed his head. And so there was all these kind of like screaming kids, but he got a kick. But yeah, for years he became Rory who killed E.T. But lovely guy. But I think his performance in E.T. like not only really affected me when I saw it as a kid.
How old were you when you saw it? Were you the same age as him or younger?
No, I would have been younger. Like, so he I'm 79, so I would have. I think.
My God, you look good for your age.
I guess I would have seen a rerun or something of it, because I'm not sure, did films come out the same year in Ireland back then? Like, if something came out in 82 in the States, did it come out 82 here?
I think it might have been the following year or something like that, because it was one of the first films I was taken to when I was very small. But so I was we were born the same year, so I was about 3 or 4, and I have a vague memory of it.
It would have been about 4, I guess, yeah. But it really affected me, because there was, there was a kid in it who wasn't that much older than me. And then when I saw it again, like through the years, it just always sort of stuck with me. And maybe there's a bias there because you kind of grow up with it and all of that kind of stuff. But arguably, like,
it's a beautiful film, though. It holds up.
It's probably my favorite. Like, it's depending on my mood in a given week, it's definitely in my top 3 movies of all time. But I think
it's Spielberg's favorite movie of his own.
Is it? Yeah. And what was it? Roger Ebert described Henry's performance as the best child performance he'd ever seen in an American film. And I think it's like he hits that nail on the head, what we were talking about earlier on, of that Goldilocks zone between a kid that is super authentic for a kid of that age. He doesn't feel like he's 30-year-old in a 10-year-old's body. Like, he feels like he's a kid of the age he's meant to be portraying. But at the same time, he delivers an incredible performance. Like, I'm sure you've all seen the casting tape, the audition.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Incredible. But all the kids in that movie are just brilliant. And yeah, Spielberg seems to be, obviously Christian Bale then in Emperor of the Sun, and the kids in.
You've reminded me there of 2 French films that I should have mentioned in that list. One because of the audition of Henry Thomas in E.T., and it is Jean-Pierre, I think it's Léaud in the 400 Blows. If you can look up his audition for that film, it's also just magnificent. This kid is a bit of a street urchin, and he's trying to convince the director that he's a star and he could be in this movie and he's great, and his mother lets him do what he wants, and you can just tell it's all bravado and he's so desperate to please, and there's just so much energy. It's a fantastic audition. So like when I think of great auditions, it's those two that always pop up for me. And the other one is because you mentioned Roger Ebert talking about it being his favourite child performance by a kid in an American film, because he also talked of a film called Pawnette, which is a French film, and it's about a 4-year-old girl whose mother dies, and the whole film is from the 4-year-old's perspective of trying to, I suppose, make sense of what does death mean as a 4-year-old when her mother is killed in a car crash with her.
Wow.
You were talking about Henry Thomason, but I wanted to know, did you have a specific best bit or a favourite scene from that film that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I think my favorite scene of Henry is one like you were saying about, you know, the Sixth Sense, like, you know, when you've got another actor to bounce off of, it's a little, not that it's easier, but it gives people something to work with. But when you don't have anything there, it's miraculous to me, and I think my favorite scene in it, and you talk about a great gear change. It's the scene where E.T. is dead for all intents and purposes.
It must be dead.
He's invited to say his final words to him.
Because I don't know how to feel.
Over this cryo chamber.
Yeah.
I can't feel anything anymore. You've gone someplace else now.
And he's just incredible in the scene. And you're kind of tearing up as he's talking to his dead friend.
I believe in you all my life. Every day. E.T. I love you.
And as he closes the thing over, you see the red of E.T.'s heart come on. And for a split second, he doesn't see it, so there's that great audience anticipation.
It's like he didn't see it.
Yeah. Just look around and see, and then it sees the plant come back to life. And then he opens it again, and E.T.'s like,
E.T. phone home.
Just imagine that scene playing in the cinema and the audience just like inhaling.
Oh my God.
E.T. phone home, E.T. phone home.
And now he's gear changed to being overjoyed, but now he also has to get him to shut up.
Phone. E.T. phone home.
Yeah.
You know, covering his mouth. And then he has to fake being sad for the adults. He's like, so he's kind of purposefully bad acting, you know, in the moment, saying, oh, no.
Elliot, why don't you come with me?
No.
And then he switches out of that again when he sees the plant kind of smiling and laughing, and then having to hide that again. And I just think that scene is incredible. And no matter how well it was written and how well it was directed, without Henry and an incredible performance at the centre of it, it would not have worked.
I'm so glad you asked, Will, because that really is the whole point of this episode. You just really nailed it.
Great
there.
stuff, Ciarán.
You give me goosebumps just thinking about that scene.
And Kevin, what about you? Are we going to get to your pick?
Yeah. And for the first time in Best Bits history, my pick is the same as Ciarán.
Oh, what?
Like, how could it not? I'm a basic bitch, and
oh my God.
I would not be able to. Well, you know, I have to go with my gut, and I was trying to think what could I say as an alternative, because I think, you know, you've said it better than I ever could. My favourite scene, you know, I think it would come second to what you're saying, because I just loved what you just said about that moment with Henry Thomas and all the different colours that he had to portray in that moment. But for me, it's the ending. It's when he's just standing there with E.T. and it's correcting the mistakes of Close Encounters, where Richard Dreyfuss decides to leave his family and to go off with the aliens. Elliot has the opportunity, and E.T. saying, "Come." The kid that hated his family at the beginning, he's saying, "Stay." I just find that so beautiful, and it's got one of my favourite things in movies, which is it just ends on a close-up of a face, and it's his face, and it's so powerful.
And the music and everything at that point.
Beautiful, no perfect of an ending.
Ouch.
But my second choice is one which is forgotten, I think, by a lot of people, and it's Flight of the Navigator. And so if I had to go with my runner-up, it would be that, because that is a great story.
Wow.
It's a lot more light than E.T., because it's a bit of you've got a goofy sort of robotic sidekick in that. But in terms of pioneering films, which has been forgotten about, Flight of the Navigator sort of paved the way for all the sort of CG effects that we're sort of used to now in films. And it's one that, if you go back and you revisit it, I think you'll be charmed by it, and you'll realise what a great film it is and why it should be held up more in pop culture. And I think it has to do with the fact that the kid in that didn't have a great career after it. He didn't become an established name.
Really?
So it's really just one and done for him. He's just in that, and he had some troubles as well. He was in trouble with the law and stuff, but I think he's bounced back from that. But and I think
I have a couple to.
And that's
there's
the end
a
of the
couple
episode.
I didn't cover,
And
the,
thanks.
The gas thing. Yeah, excuse me, Kevin. Podbot.
Stop it, Kevin.
Don't end the episode. I'm still here. Actually, the gas thing about it is, my number one choice, when I first thought about it, was Henry Thomas. And I just went, oh, Jesus, I can't. And so I tried to go in other places. One that never really comes up.
I was secretly hoping that all three of us would say the same thing.
There was a moment it would have happened. One that I absolutely loved, that I think people forget was a young person performance, was Leonardo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yes.
I thought he was amazing in that film. He plays mentally challenged young man, and it's really heart-wrenching. The sincerity that comes across in his performances. He's the heart of that film, and I think it showed that he was a brilliant actor from that young age. Natalie Portman, did you bring her up in Leon, the Professional? Okay.
I did.
And of course, you're saying protagonists, so I was kind of avoiding characters that kind of might have been side characters. But there's also another kind of obscure 1980s one that I really liked, was one of the Coreys. Not Corey Feldman, but Corey Haim. You remember Corey Haim?
One of the sad sort of...
another tragic story.
Yeah.
But he starred in a film called Lucas, which is one of these kind of coming-of-age 1980s films. I think a young Winona Ryder is in that as well. And it's a lovely... And Charlie Sheen. Oh yeah, Charlie Sheen's in that as well. I think that, in that role, you see Corey Haim as a bookish nerd, and he's
the two Coreys are great in The Lost Boys as well.
Yeah, they really were. It's unfortunate what happened to the poor kids, But that's an example, two examples of the industry just not taking care of kids, and when it goes wrong.
It worked out for DiCaprio.
There you go.
I also forgot to mention Elliot Page. What was it? Hard Candy, the first film they were in, and Anna Chomsky's in My Girl, which I didn't mention because we've mentioned that in the past.
Nobody mentioned Saoirse.
Oh yes, because I wanted to mention, but she's a side character in Atonement. But,
right, fair enough.
Yeah, she's great, and of course, proving herself to be a movie star. So, that was a good chat.
Yeah, I learned a lot about kids acting in movies.
5 stars on Apple Podcasts, please.
You're 5 stars in my book, lads.
So now, Ciarán, as you probably are aware, we've got to spin the wheel and find out what next week's topic is going to be. So I've sent you the app. It's on your phone. All you got to do is just hit spin, And Will, good luck.
Well,
take it away, Ciarán.
Here we go.
Cut you off, Will.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just projecting all my good vibes into the wheel.
Torture point scene. Torture
It's
point
gone.
Scene, torture
It's
point
gone.
scene.
We're not doing that again. It's just gone.
Damn
I've
it.
kept that veto card, by the way.
Okay. So it's
there we go.
best 2D animated scene.
Okay. Right.
Fix.
Yeah, well, it feels like a fix. It feels like a fix. Anyway, great.
So just one scene on that wheel that was just spinning around. There was nothing
Ciarán,
else.
thanks very much. I'm so glad you allowed me to send you the wheel this week, Ciarán. The envelope that we discussed about will be delivered to you soon.
Great.
And this is going to be difficult. Honestly, I'm going to have to bring in some allies, and you'll have to call on someone.
Oh, I wonder who you can ask. It must be really difficult to find a suitable
someone
guest.
who might know something about animated stuff.
That'll be fun, though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. We haven't really done an animation episode yet, so...
No, we did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but that was like a blend.
Yeah, that was something else. Yeah, I can't remember. It was season 1 anyway. But Ciarán, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
I'm delighted. That's... No, it was great to have you on.
And Ciarán, where can people find you?
My number is 086. No, it's.
You don't really do the whole social media thing, do you?
Not much. I am on Twitter, but I think I'm there like in spirit. I'm not on there that much.
Wise man. You're a wise
but
man.
I'm at Citadel Foy on Twitter, and then I'm on Instagram, but yeah, don't spend too much time on that stuff.
Being an influencer on Instagram. Check me out here. 2-night stay down in Kilkenny. Loved it.
Hashtag promotion.
Hashtag ad. And if you want to follow us on the social media sphere, we have a LinkedIn account, don't we, Will?
Not LinkedIn, Kevin. Letterboxd.
No, not
Letterboxd.
LinkedIn.
I was like going, LinkedIn?
I was looking at your face thinking, what's that? Yeah, I've just dropped a minute. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Hire me. No, we're on Letterboxd. And we have a Facebook, so your nan can follow us. And we're on Twitter under @BestBitsPod. And you can email us, as we say every week. And we'd love to hear from you. And we also have a Redbubble store now with merch. So if you want to support the podcast and you don't want to donate to us, you can buy a pin.
What sort of stuff? So you can get stuff on Redbubble. What sort of stuff?
Baseball caps, t-shirts, coasters, everything. Like tat. You can buy whatever tat you want. And a percentage will go to us. And
my wife is going to have a wonderful Christmas morning this year. She's just going to be over the moon.
We're going to be the band that wears all their own band merch. So cool. Well, that was brilliant. Listen, Ciarán, thanks a million.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Back next week.
Take care. Good luck. Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks, guys.
The Best Bits podcast is produced by Will and Kevin.
All audio clips and music heard in this episode is the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff.
If you have any notes, comments, scene suggestions, or just want to get in touch with us, email us at bestbitspodcast@gmail.com.
And here is a clip from the lads' latest Mini Bits bonus show. The full episode, plus 80 more, are available on their Patreon.
See ya, Mossy. I gotta go in and record another one of these fucking mini bits.
Oh, yes, this is all it.
I know. What are you doing?
Right now, on the Academy screener site, and I hit play, because there's only a few films on it for the first month or two. There's only like about less than 10 films on it. And Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is on here. So I hit play on that, and I'm hearing we're out in Afghanistan, and I'm hearing all the dirt, and I hear vehicles, and I hear the sound effects of characters walking. But when characters open their mouths, I don't hear any dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
there's no dialogue.
They've uploaded the wrong audio track. It's like that Tom Cruise trailer where it was just the sound effects.
Have you met an SP?
Yeah, and this film has been up on the screen site for a few weeks now, and they still have the wrong one here. Well, I tell you what films are actually up there for all Academy members to see and to see what they've put up there.
But first of all, let's just throw to our theme. And I have to say, the feedback from my thank you ballad was quite fierce.
The power of Christ compels you!
So I asked Mossy, who is a friend of my dad's at the quiz, sing us a theme tune.
Oh.
So over to Mossy.
Hit the cards. I'm fine, I'll get it done in one take. It's the Many Bits. Or podcast, what will they say? With Will and Kevin Cock.
The best fucking podcast.
That'll do.
That'll do.
My God.
Thank you, Mossy.
He would make an angel weep. That voice would make an angel weep.
Telling you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Boolabus.
It only cost us 2 months patron money, so, you know.
Is that all? Money well spent in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get much for €20. Will, you were telling me before the intro that you were looking at stuff on the Academy Screeners website.
The Academy Awards. So for official members, yes. So they don't send out DVDs anymore. So how you do all your streaming stuff is all via the Academy website. And the streaming season has begun, which is exciting. So it means for the rest of the year...
Did it ever end?
It does end. It does. After the Academy Awards, there's about 2 weeks, and they take all the films down, and then they begin again at the end of August, and they all start coming up. So it's a whole new collection of hopefuls.
So how many films are on there?
Right now, about 10. Actually, 10 exactly. I can tell you the 10.
Oh, go on, tell me.
John Wick 4.
For the Oscars. Oh, because there's like...
Yes, because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Are they adding it in? Is the stunt category being added?
I believe they're adding in some sort of stunt category.
Breaking news straight from an Academy member's mouth.
Because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Slash film.
I don't know. Did I read this in an article? I feel they were.
I
felt they were.
Have long overlooked stunts, and my God, it's pure artistry.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly, well, these days, it's all fucking rubber computer generated avatars.
That's why we should that's why these people should be getting their Oscars when someone's actually going out there. Yeah,
go back,
absolutely.
Go back and give it to your man from Mad Max who broke his legs.
Give it to Richard Farnsworth, who was a stuntman and starred in The Straight Story. Yeah, Richard Farnsworth was a career stuntman. Absolutely.
Wasn't that also the case with Machete? What's your man, Machete? Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Is
really?
It Trejo or Trejo?
I always call him Trejo, but he just says, call me Danny.
I was going to say that back to you.
Nah.
I was like, just that.
Weird.
Because we just call him.